Good morning. Higher education is rapidly changing, as is the intercollegiate athletics landscape. While we face numerous challenges, we also see opportunities. We believe DePaul Athletics is poised to capitalize on our strengths and move us into the next decade with a renewed commitment to excellence. This is an exciting day for DePaul, and I'm thrilled to share this moment with you. Before introducing DePaul's new Director of Athletics, I would like to offer my sincere gratitude to our search committee for all their efforts leading up to today. I would also like to thank our trustees, members of my senior leadership team, and coaches who participated in our process, as well as our search partner at DHR, Glenn Sugiyama. Thank you. On behalf of our outstanding coaches and staff, our talented student athletes, and the entire DePaul community, Joe and I are honored to welcome DeWayne Peevy, his wife Allison, and the two children, Caitlin and Brandon, to the DePaul family. DeWayne's career in college athletics speaks for itself. His 12 years at the University of Kentucky, combined with 8 years at the Southeastern Conference, provided him with extensive experience in all areas of athletics. He has worked at the highest level of men's college basketball alongside Kentucky head coach John Calipari and special assistant to the head coach Rod Strickland, who we're proud to call a DePaul alumnus. Beyond his expertise and many accomplishments, DeWayne is a well-respected leader, colleague, and friend to everyone he meets. His values align with DePaul's Catholic, Vincentian, and urban mission to serve the public good. I know he will put his whole heart into making sure our student athletes succeed academically and athletically. Joe? Joe and I look forward to helping DeWayne and his family get to know Chicago and the DePaul community. Now, it's our pleasure to introduce the next Director of Athletics at DePaul University, DeWayne Peevy.
Thank you, Dr. Esteban. First, I want to thank God for guiding me and my family through this journey. All the journey of my career and our lives together. I want to thank Joe and Dr. Esteban, Steve Stout and the search committee, the DePaul Board of Trustees and President's Council, along with DHR International, led by Glenn Sugiyama and Pat Ricketts. I am honored and humbled to accept the position of Director of Athletics at DePaul University. To my wife, Allison, my children, Caitlin and Braden, who are with me today, thank you for the sacrifices that you made to make today possible. I have so much love for you, and you pushed me to embrace this opportunity, and I thank you for that. To my mom, Shirley, I give my work ethic, my passion, and I'm a servant leader because of you. I'm the youngest of 4 children, Michael, Susan, Tabitha. This is your day too. To my family in Lexington, the Big Blue Nation, thank you for 12 unforgettable years. And I will miss my old Kentucky home. I want to thank Dr. Capilouto, Mitch Barnhart, and John Calipari for their leadership and guidance and the opportunity of a lifetime at Kentucky, as I try to instill so many of the values I learned from them at DePaul. To the Kentucky Athletics Department, I hope you're out there. Mary Lynn, Connie, and Ellen, too, for being my biggest supporters and taking my family into your own. From the first time I walked through Lincoln Park with my family, we knew this was the place for us. Chicago, the Big East Conference, DePaul University, and its mission of diversity and service, it felt like home. I'm excited and ready to be a DePaul Blue Demon.
Brian.
Hey, DeWayne, Brian Hamilton from The Athletic here. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Wondering operationally, what are the first things you want to address in terms of improvements or changes as you look at this job?
Well, it's a great question. I think first and foremost, you have to assess and evaluate our current situation. From a staffing standpoint, our needs. One of the things with the 23 years of experience in college athletics, come across a lot of people. I have a very external background, starting out with media relations, but some of the outreach it's been amazing how many people have reached out for the opportunity to help me and DePaul succeed. And I think it's just really doing an assessment of our needs. Now, from the outside looking in, I was able to look at some of those things, but being a private institution, I can't wait to get my hands dirty, to get into it and have conversations with our staff. Former athletic director, Jeannie Poncetta, we're gonna spend a little time from a transition in the first couple of weeks in September. And then I wanna have some meetings, some one-on-one, some different groups with our current staff and coaches so we can assess where we are and where we're going. But I think the first thing is really, especially with the pandemic and the COVID going on, let's really accept our challenge of getting to know everybody as quickly as possible. Let them understand who I am and my vision. Start some friend raising along with fundraising, because those are some of the things that we can do here in the first 6 months for sure.
Follow up with that, DeWayne. I mean, obviously, you're a basketball guy coming from a basketball school. Basketball's on the front door for DePaul. What's your assessment of that program and how you can sort of move it forward?
Well, I think one of the attractions for me to DePaul was the unique opportunity to go to a school with such tradition and brand awareness in men's basketball from their history. As I dug into it and found out more about the university's mission, the unbelievable academic achievements. Like I told you before, I visited Chicago for the first time in the summer. So getting to see it at a different aspect than November, December, January in my previous trips. But one of the things I thought right away is, okay, how do I present myself to be able to help get our basketball program to be a national contender that can help elevate all 15 of our sports at DePaul? Because it's our revenue sport, the success, creating that front porch of our university that everybody can be proud of. That was the unique opportunity and why I wanted this challenge. And I'm excited about it. Coach Lato and I have had a lot of conversations along with Coach Bruno because they were a little bit a part of the process. And it's two unique challenges. Trying to create a winning culture in men's basketball where the NCAA tournament is not the ceiling where you're trying to get to, but the floor, something that we're counting on every year so we can dream big dreams. I'm coming here to try to win a national championship. And if everybody's not on board with dreaming those kind of dreams, then you might not be cut out for the new DePaul Athletics, because that's what I'm coming here to bring.
Next, we'll go to Steve Newhouse.
Welcome, DeWayne. Question for you is, 12 years ago, when you arrived at UK, you were the SID. Did you ever imagine that someday you would be in charge of your own program?
I actually did. I made a decision when I left the Southeastern Conference to go to a campus that I wanted to be an AD. When I met with Roy Kramer back in 2000, I sat in his office and he asked me, and nobody had ever asked me that before, what do you want to do? What are you going to finish your career? And at that time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a commissioner or an athletics director. But when I stepped foot on that campus at Kentucky, the dynamic opportunity to work hand in hand with students, student athletes, what I call the controlled chaos of a campus element is what I knew it fit me. And I love my 8 years at the conference level, but it brought out the best in me being at the University of Kentucky. Now, I didn't know how the path was going to get there. Honestly, Mitch Barnhart probably saw in me early on the capabilities I had before I saw it myself. I didn't go to him and say, hey, I want a chance to work in administration and I want to be your deputy one day and I want you to help me, extend your tree and be another athletics director. But my goal was, let's do my job as the head of media relations unbelievably and just concentrate on that every day. And somebody will notice, and he did. And it gave me an opportunity to branch out into the external side, overseeing development, and then later on being the deputy athletics director and being in charge of men's basketball. And so obviously at that point, it's a step away. But then you're thinking about what's the right place, because I had one of the best jobs in America. And I had to find a better job if it was going to take me from Lexington. And that's why I'm here today.
Next, we'll go to John Fanta.
Dwayne, just going off your point, congratulations. What makes this a better job in your mind? And you talked about the culture that you'd like to instill. What are the foundation pieces of that culture?
Well, I agree. I think one, getting in the seat of being an athletics director and the challenge and the amount of people you can touch. As I look back in my career when I first got to Kentucky, being an African American and the head of the media relations department in the SEC and being the first ever, I didn't embrace that. Honestly, wasn't even aware. And I think in this role now, being the first African American athletics director in the history of DePaul, I understand my role in helping mentor young people to see someone like me in that position and dream about, hey, maybe that's something I want to do one day. I didn't have that. And so I understood that charge and that challenge. The culture, one of the things I loved about DePaul and researching it was the family, close atmosphere of the staff. And I'm a byproduct of that at Kentucky, where I have relationships with all the head coaches and all different departments. That's the greatest thing about being in media relations early on in your career. You know everybody. You work for the ticket office, turf management, marketing, you name it. And that's just, I'm an open book. I'm an open door policy person. I've already told the staff today, I'm there for you, but you're going to be there for me too. And, if I'm part-time counselor, venting couch, I understand that too, because we're all in this together. But I think those are the things that attracted me, because it was a unique transition from where I am to now. This was a perfect next step to be a place where my 20 years of experience in a high level of men's basketball translates, but also what I've learned under the tutelage of Mitch Barnhart, Dr. Capilouto, of the importance of people, passion, and pride, and where that can take you. DePaul was the job.
With the current culture in our world, just to follow up, as a Black athletic director, what do you think your role is and the role of DePaul University and just the role of DePaul athletics in the current culture to try to lead that fight against social injustice?
Well, I think in my time period finishing up at Kentucky, Mitch charged me with an opportunity to be the chair of our diversity advocacy committee. And what I saw early on is just the role that athletics can play in creating a diverse and inclusive environment for our students as a whole. And I think now being in the seat that, our young people look to us. There's a predominant percentage of our student athletes are African American. And so I don't take that for granted. I also know that I've got to be a great citizen of Chicago. The little things are big because people look up to you, and not take advantage or miss the opportunity of setting a standard for young people as a whole. Because if you're in this leadership position, I look to my kids, they're here in front of me, 13, 19 years old. It kind of helped keep me grounded and let me realize what our students, recruits, they care about. And so I might not always have that, so take advantage of that on this early end. But I think it's this important role. And I'm a person that I want to learn, I want to get to know all 210 of our student athletes. And I know that was important for the people here, that kind of relationship, and that's what I want to bring to the table too. I don't want to get to a point where we're losing things that we've been really good at. One of the things I told Jeannie Poncella is that I'm not trying to start this thing over. I'm not trying to go back to the starting blocks. My hope is to take the baton from you, be your anchor leg, finish this race, and let's go win. Let's go break a world record, right? So that's my charge right now. Let's evaluate where we are. Let me get in my position, grab that baton, and finish strong.
Next, we'll go to Steve Greenberg.
Good morning, DeWayne. Congratulations. Steve Greenberg from the Sun-Times. Men's basketball question. Losing has gone on longer at DePaul than it's allowed to at many places before major changes are made. You've used the word culture a couple times already. Is that a culture matter that you have to fix? Has there been an acceptance of mediocrity in men's basketball?
Well, I can attest to what's been accepted here before. Obviously, I'm walking in the door, but I do think a winning championship level culture is part of the process. Because Mitch Barnhart is on the selection committee, I got a chance to watch a lot of Big East games early on, and I saw DePaul and how they started last year, and I saw they were a team to watch and one we were keeping up with for just evaluating teams in the process. But I also saw when things didn't go great, how you usually, what you want to have is that type of winning culture where kids don't panic, they don't feel the pressure. If you've been losing, and I've seen that in all different levels. I compare the men's basketball program at DePaul a little bit to Kentucky football. You have an unbelievable passionate fan base. They haven't been able to get over the hump for a long time. They looked at making a bowl game. If we could just do that periodically, the coach might get a statue. But we broke that barrier. We went past that. Bringing in, having a culture. We've had great coaches, having a culture of Mark Stoops and a different outlook on things. But that's not something you have to change the coaches to do. Well, that's part of my job, to bring a different level of it, having a conversation right away with Coach Leto. Recruiting is at a higher level. How do we accomplish goals right now? What can we do right now to build a DePaul brand to a point where it's more attractive to young people? How do we accentuate the positives for the campus and the university? Things I just learned for the first time in digging deeper into the search. The unbelievable business acumen of the university. The technology and innovation just blew me away. And the culture. So how do I help him get more people to come to campus? Because once they're here, once they come to Lincoln Park, they love it. So how do we accentuate the brand of DePaul to affect all 10 head coaches, all 15 sports, with a specific to men's basketball to help get over that hump to a point where we're not dreaming about trying to get back to the tournament, since, we're more thinking about bigger things and where we can go from here. Because you're in a great league. The Big East Conference, you can compete for championships in the Big East Conference, everything else takes care of itself. And I think that's a unique opportunity for DePaul. And so Coach Leto is all in. We're gonna be creative and look at different things in scheduling. That's some experience I have of being creative. We're gonna sit down and figure out what's the plan for us and how do we brand our program better to be in the limelight where young people are now like, oh, I'm not trying to put DePaul on my list when I've got 20. That they're one of the finalists because I'm seriously thinking about it. I've come to the campus and visited, and I want to help turn that program around.
Next question is with Gino Green.
Hey, DeWayne, Gino Green from College Sports Overload. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What did the experience of going through a turbulent time in Kentucky before the John Calipari era help you in terms of trying to drum up fan interest and getting fans invested in Kentucky basketball? How much will that help going into the job here with DePaul?
Well, I think one of the things that I've been able to see just early on is that there is support in a fan base and a rabid fan base at that are interested. So it's just about getting them to take one little step further. And it might take some belief on the front end. I'm asking today, have faith in us. You've waited this long. It's time to totally put your chips in the middle of the table. Go all in with us. And I saw the excitement last year. I think being at Kentucky uniquely, my first year we went to the NIT after 17 straight years in the NCAA tournament. And I know that it's not just the coach, because I've seen that dynamic, but what other elements that we can add. And sometimes a coach or a different philosophy can bring out those other positives. It doesn't have to be a change to make that happen. And I just think going through that, seeing the building up, that's the part where being on the external side early on before administration, seeing those other pieces. I'm thinking about how can our campus, we're so well renowned in innovation and technologies, how can we take those assets from main campus to be part of our athletics engine? I think I looked and it's maybe 40 staff members in graphics and video on main campus. How can that be an asset for us? And just we the brightest and best, and we're killing it, and we're going to help you build your brand. And you come to DePaul and you're in Chicago in this media market, and it's the best stage you can be on. Wintrust Arena, the Mecca of Chicago, God's country. Think about all those things and making a young person really understand that, man, I never even thought about DePaul. Maybe that's something I need to be thinking about. And those are the things that I can help bring to the table for our program.
Next question will be with John Fanta again. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, DeWayne, you brought it up a little bit, but what do you know about Doug Bruno and the pedigree of the women's program at DePaul?
Well, I've had some great conversations with Coach Bruno. He's a talker like me, so I told him we're going to have a bunch of days where we got to switch offices so we don't wear out each other's couches. But being able to follow him, I know our women's program has played them in the past. Unbelievable Hall of Famer, first class individual. I heard a lot about him. I've talked to some of our women's basketball coaching family at Kentucky, and he's everything I thought before my first conversation with him. And I told him, I asked him, how can I help you reach your goals, your dreams? And he's a different approach, because it's like, well, I got my own challenges and this is what I'm trying to do, and it's my job now to figure out how I fit into that, because I want to create an environment for him for the second weekends to get it, right? And then how do we get him to that first Final Four? And that's some of the unique challenges we had at Kentucky in basketball, so I understand the dynamic. Now you bring UConn into the league, and the challenge of that, they were already playing them. Now you might play them 3 times a year. And what is that experience, and how does that help our young women be able to be even more successful in the tournament? So obviously they've been in the tournament year after year, but how do we continue to have success? He loved hearing about all scheduling things and quirks, because, he's like, bring them on, right? So that'll be a different thing of how we can create unique events to provide more opportunities to get our young people to be more prepared for that big stage in the NCAA tournament.
Steve Newhouse with the next question.
DeWayne, there's been a lot of talk about your relationship with Coach Calipari. Can you describe for us the relationship you had with him, and if you expect to have a similar relationship with your coaches at DePaul?
Yes, that's no problem. So when Cal first got on board, I think his press conference was April 1st, 2009. And uniquely, Twitter was in his infancy stage in college athletics. And as the sports information director, I came to him about doing a Twitter account. And what that did, it meant we had to talk 3-4 times a day from the start. And what we did, we found out a lot about each other. Keep in mind, we haven't played a game. His Twitter account grew to 1 million followers before we played a basketball game. And so we're like, what do we have here? And so I think that trust that I got early on was an opportunity for us to grow as a relationship before wins and losses. But he's a confident, he's a true friend. He's an uncle to my kids. They don't see him as John Calipari, the Hall of Fame coach, so it's a little different for them. But I'm going to miss that relationship. I'm sure that I'm still going to be on the phone with him all the time, because I don't think that's going to change. So for the guys back home like Eric and TJ, no worries. I'll still take some of those calls so you don't get them all. But I mean, what a ride. I mean, to come in that situation, coming off at NIT and make those runs to a Elite Eight and a Final Four national championship game the second year and win a title in the third year, and the challenge of 4 Final Fours in 5 years. But our relationship has only grown even more. And we get to the point where I've learned, I think my relationship with Cal has taught me how to deal with any coach in any sport on any level. And I have great relationships with most of, if not all, our head coaches at Kentucky. And I've already heard from a few of them that have heard from some of the DePaul coaches. I told the head coaches at DePaul, reach out to your counterparts, because every sport we have here, we have at Kentucky, because you'll get to know a little bit about me. And I think we have 10 head coaches here, and those are easy relationships right away. I want to get to a point where we talk all the time, so if things do get tense or things are not great from me or from their side of it, it's not as awkward. As you could probably tell, I'm a little bit of a talker. So the ones that'll shy away from that, I got a chance to talk to a couple of coaches today on a conference, and I'm excited to start those relationships right away. So it might not be September 1st. They'll probably hear from me before September 1st, because I just want to get to know them. I mean, we're all in this together. And I think just, 10 head coaches, that's an easy group to start with, along with our senior staff.
Steve Greenberg with another question.
Yes, back to men's basketball. What's your philosophy on whether or not DePaul should regularly play not only Northwestern, but Illinois, maybe Loyola or UIC, or anyone else locally, but especially Illinois along with Northwestern? Is that important? And can you do anything about that if you believe it is?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I know we already played in like a Big Ten challenge. I know there's a series, I think, with Northwestern. I think there's an importance level for Chicago for sure. The different schools, what we're happening, how we helping our state schools. And I haven't talked to Dave in length about it, but I think there's some opportunities to create some unique events. You might not do home and homes with everybody, because, now with the Big East schedule with 20 games and a couple of challenges, you don't have as many opportunities. But my thoughts is, maybe we talk, and maybe one of the charges that I take on early on is try to create a unique event, especially from Chicago's standpoint, where we bring all the schools to one place and we play each other, and just bring everybody together and have a unique event to celebrate college basketball in Chicago. So I think it's important, definitely, something that we will address and look at. Continue, maybe we shift some things, but I think it's part of a bigger conversation of an overall national brand that we're creating too. But I do think we have a responsibility to take care of home in Chicago and Illinois as well.
Let me unmute you, Kenny.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead,
Yeah.
Kenny.
First of all, congratulations on the new AD position. And you talked about scheduling. Is there any chance that DePaul and Kentucky can get a series going?
That's gonna be my first charge. So let's see how long you give me. That's gonna be the first thing I'm going after. So Cal, if you're listening, get your phone ready. And they have to come to Wintrust.
Good idea. Good. Thank you.
Next question from Paul Banks.
Hi, DeWayne. Thanks for doing this. Congratulations.
Thank you.
My question is about your time at Kentucky. What do you think has been kind of the secret to Coach Cal's success, and what do you think he does there in Lexington that could translate to here some of the specifics or principles that would lead to success here at Wintrust Arena?
Oh, I think some of the things, and it's kind of become a byproduct of what I've grown up into, just being a gatherer, working with a group of people to accomplish a goal, that allowed me to have experience with Cal giving me the schedule, which he had never done in his coaching career, being outside of his office, because it was like we were all into this. We were fully vetted in it. He's made me an idea person because I have to match him, and sometimes I have to get out in front of him and him kind of catch up with me. It's a great challenge, and it's kind of brought out some of the best things in me in my career. But I think the biggest things is how they handle recruiting in the home. And that starts with emphasis on academics. We don't get every kid at Kentucky. So a lot of that is because you're upfront and honest in the home about you will go to class. If you're not going to finish the term, don't come here. Don't start focusing on that I'm going to only be here 8 months. Put your all into the team and the school, and then you'll make those decisions at the end of the year. But it's also about embracing the aspect that you're going to play with a lot of other talented teammates. And each of them, if you're coming somewhere to shoot 30 balls every night, it's not the program for you. And the thing about that translates to DePaul is, if you want a group of talented kids to come together, they can't all shoot the ball. It's only one ball. If you're going to have aspirations of playing beyond college, you're going to have to play with other talented players. So how do we get that concept? It can translate. You notice that, the so-called one and done hasn't necessarily worked for everyone. But at Kentucky, because we establish those things in the homes with the parents and the kids, you might not get everybody, but the ones you get are bought into being a part of a team. I care about school first. I know I need to finish. That's why we've had top 10% APR award for 6 straight years at Kentucky. And so those are the things. We have an unbelievable academic success here at DePaul. That is not going to be something I'm going to mess with. And so you've got almost 178 student athletes who are honored academically, 3.5 GPA this past term. And so how do we challenge? It's not broken. With Katie O'Brien and what her staff and they have accomplished with our student athletes themselves, that's a heck of a challenge in the pandemic. How do we go forward with that? But I think all those things are pieces that I've learned. It's the process that leads to it. It's not overnight. It's not promising kids something you can't deliver on, because then you got a group of people and then you all told them the same thing and they're all expecting the same promise. And this doesn't work. You wonder how it works with a bunch of talented kids playing together. These kids are they used to be very regionalized. Now they're playing nationally with other talented players. People want to simulate what it's like at the next level for them. So we got to start selling those things too. And I want to be involved in recruiting as much as I can with all 10 head coaches. I'm going to be asking Dr. Esteban to meet with a couple of student athletes, because I want them to know, and these parents, they need to know. If they're not from around here, they don't know what DePaul University can bring to the table. I want them to know, if your kid goes here, look at what DePaul alums have done. You're pretty much, whether you go pro or you finish all 4 years, you're going to have a job waiting for you. It's an unbelievable record of success. And so I think those are things that we have done in the past with John Calipari, Mitch Barnhart, Dr. Capilouto at Kentucky, that can translate on an even bigger stage in Chicago.
Okay, we'll have one final question. Go ahead, Susan.
First, I want to say good morning. This is Susan Peevy. I'm DeWayne's oldest sister, and I just want to let you know our family is very proud of you. One of my questions has already been taken by Kenny, and that is regarding UK playing DePaul. But I just want to emphasize the way in which you display integrity, strong family ties, and everything that's been instilled from my grandfather really makes it tough today. And I just thank you for being the way that you are. You make me so proud of you. And the only thing I want to ask about now is the teamwork concept, which I feel you always display. How do you embrace that now? Because you may have currently some naysayers and they have to buy into your concept. And I just want you to be patient while that happens, because it doesn't always happen right away. But I believe in you, and I will be the ears for you when that happens. But I just want to hear from you, your concept on teamwork.
And now y'all know why I'm prepared for this job. When your oldest sister asks you the toughest question of the day. I am. Thank you, Susan. I'm proud to be here to represent my family. My 99-year-old grandmother is watching too. And it's just a special family connection. And I think the team concept is what I'm all about. I believe I like being the captain of the team, not necessarily I'm in the owner's box or even the coach in the suit guiding the ship. And I think part of it is my nature as a person is I'm a negotiator. So I've dealt with people on all extremes of life and trying to get them to have a common goal and a common bond. And I think those are the things that have been assets for me along the way. And I understand it's not going to all be rosy. I mean, otherwise, I mean, there's a lot of jobs out there, right, that I wasn't interested in. This is a unique challenge, but a great opportunity. As I talked to different people, people saw, man, DePaul's a gold mine. And they see the vision, the fans, the community. I mean, I had 517 text messages last night from people just reaching out and saying congratulations, it's going to be awesome, and we love you, and hey, if you need any help, and just other people that I didn't even know that were connected into Chicago. And I understand that challenge. I'm going to insinuate that culture here. The good thing about DePaul, it's already been started. But I understand there's always going to be things you deal with. There's going to be rocky waters always. I mean, that's what college athletics is all about. And I've had to deal with that at Kentucky. You had to deal with that at the Southeastern Conference. I'm going to deal with that at DePaul. But it feels good to be in the seat, to be able to embrace and make decisions on those matters up front. I can't wait to be a part of the Big East and the ADs and meetings. I mean, Commissioner Ackerman reached out. I'm excited to be a part of the conference and guide where we're going in the future. And I'm excited about being here. Hopefully you can tell that. And I can't wait to start the first day. Come up and join me. My wife, Allison, my daughter, Caitlin, my son, Braden. Thank you. We can't wait to get started. I'm ready to be a DePaul Blue Demon.